Hey, Blue Table fans, Shawn here. I want you to know, if you're a client or potential client, that I am on deck every single day, answering emails, packing packages, getting it all done, and I am definitely moving everything forward. Now, on to this review of Warhammer Age of Sigmar Destruction Battle Tome Ironjaws book review. Now, just as a primer, Age of Sigmar has 4 Grand Alliance factions, Death and Destruction, which are the 2 smallest, and then you have Order and Chaos, kind of like the good guys and bad guys. Now, in the rules of Age of Sigmar, which appear in the back of nearly every single book, 2 pages long for the actual battle rules, it says that you can just use models from your collection. So really no limits, and quite frankly, you could make some really amazing themed armies just using the bring whatever rules. Now, if you decide that you want to get more specific, it says, muster your army from the miniatures in your collection. Armies can be as big as you like, and you can use as many models from your collection as you wish. Okay, so awesome, right? I love that whole premise. Now, if you look at the different entries, the War Scrolls, you'll see that they have keywords, the broader ones, all the way to the more specific. So, Sour Breath Troggoths are Destruction, Troggoth, and Sour Breath. So, and usually the last thing that appears is actually the name of the unit, the most specific thing that you could possibly have. So everything in this book has the destruction keyword in it. Now, if you decide to take all models from a certain faction that all have the same keyword in them, you can get what's called an allegiance. Now, the books, when they were published, they didn't have allegiance benefits for destruction, death, order, and chaos. But in the General's Handbook, by the way, last I knew it was $15 for this book. So pretty awesome for what, a 128-page book? No, a 168-page book. Amazing. So anyway, so allegiance abilities. So allegiance abilities, death, appear in here. And they give you a battle trait, command traits, a table that you can either roll or pick. Awesome. It says one command trait from the list below that best suits your general's personality. Come on, guys. That's awesome. I love that. And you can give your heroes artifacts. So pretty cool. So you can take anything from Grand Alliance Destruction and get your allegiance abilities for a destruction army, which includes basically the old ogres, which, by the way, have awesome models in the range, but some of them are terribly dated, and quite frankly, I would look to other ranges for inspiration. They're like Gorgers. Those models are so old. I mean, those are older than BTP has been in business, I'm pretty sure. And you know what? When ogres came, I'm really not sure. I think ogres came in because we painted a ton of ogres. I still have like a gallon bin full of ogre weapons from all the ogre armies we did. So, Iron Blaster, great model. The ogres actually themselves are pretty good. Don't worry, I'm getting to the Ironjaws. Just bear with me now. Maybe I'll make this two videos. So the Hunter's kind of dated, but it's a pretty cool model. Definitely look elsewhere for Saber Tusks. Oh, and by the way, I'm going to do one on the Beast Claw Raiders faction too. Stonehorn, awesome. Where was I going to go? It's the Yetis. The Yetis, they're the worst. I mean, I would be embarrassed to still be publishing these models. All right, let's go on. Should I make this a separate video? Nope, I'm just gonna make people listen through 3 minutes of that. So the Ironjaws, which I've read through almost twice now, they're the sort of interdimensional planescape version of what orcs will evolve into, and they're called Aurochs for copyright reasons, right? So for like all the other battle tomes, lavish art, like just pages and pages of art that could just be on the the front cover. So the Ironjaws are like the biggest, baddest orcs. They're heavily armored. They're the elites. And yeah, just look at this art. Amazing. Lots of fun stories. Great showcase. Oh, I'm a little off here. I kind of drifted. Great showcase pictures of the artwork here. So there you go. So it gives their organization. So the organization goes by fives, which is like a fist. So like thumb, finger, 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 palm, and they view themselves as the fist of Gorka Morka. So yeah, the organization, again, it's all by fives. Get it? 5 by 5. And a brute fist. We'll talk more about the rules later on. Gives you a lot of great color schemes as usual. Great ideas for clans and how to paint your army. Little paint by numbers thing going on here. And so apparently they're doing a worldwide campaign like they used to in the early 2000s, which I'm pretty excited for. That focuses around Gordrak, which is like the head orc guy. And he's pretty cool. Like when you read about his mythological story, you'll get the whole spirit of it and probably want to play this faction. Look at this, the Gorn bloodletters, like they're kind of concerned about this guy. So talks about the mega bosses, and then of course now it talks about each different type of the unit. So again, more lavish art, amazingly painted minis. It's just through the roof, guys. I just absolutely love it. And I like how they're presenting the models. Yep, more of this heavy metal, of course. You guys remember, who was it, Tim McVeigh? Yeah. Remember looking at his thing about how to paint Eldar jewels and just like, well, guy, how would you paint that on such a small thing? Now it's so obvious, So some scenarios. All right, we're about to get to the good part. And more like this Planescape Map Art, which I really like. And like it just gives so much inspiration for terrain making. In fact, in my dream world, I've got a shop, and that's pretty much what I do is make terrain. So there you go. Okay, let's keep going. So we've got, all right, we'll get to the good stuff here. The Green Hordes. All right, now you've got it. Now this book is, I think, one of the first ones to come out, if not the first. So it doesn't have the magic items and allegiance abilities that the Sylvaneth and the, what's the other one? The Bone Splitters got. But I have a feeling they'll have some publication to supplement it. Okay, so here's the deal. Let's look at how many entries there are. 1, 2, these are the 2 Maw Crusher things. 3, 4, 5. So there's 5 entries and 4 kits for the hero types, okay? So for your units, there's only 3. There's Auric Brutes, Gorg Wrenches, and Auric Ardboys, and that's it. So the whole army only has 8 entries, one of which is a special character, and then you've got 4 hero types, and then you have your units. But believe me, you're going to be able to fill an army with just those guys. So Gordrak, I may as well just talk about this. Okay, so here's the deal. Because of the way Age of Sigmar plays, in fact, I want to get a close-up on the stat line here. See if I can make this work. There she is. Okay, guys, bear with me. You're going to love this. This is going to help you understand this game and how to basically read these stat lines. So, all the attacking is unilateral. It doesn't matter. Like when you get to your wounds, it doesn't matter what their toughness is. So they got rid of toughness. The only thing where you would have to ask your opponent, hey, what's your toughness? And so now you can just plow right on ahead. So what you do to determine damage potential is you take the number of attacks and you multiply it by the damage. Now if the damage is a roll, since you're trying to get the average, you do 3.5 for a D6 and you do 2 for a D3. because the average result is going to be 2 or 3.5. So 5 attacks with a damage of 2 is 10 wounds. Now it doesn't matter which order you do this in, because I don't remember what the mathematical property is, but multiplication and addition, it doesn't matter what order the numbers are in, you're going to end up with the same results. So like 6 times 4 is 24, 4 times 6 is 24. It doesn't matter if you switch the numbers around. But you can't say 6 minus 4 is the same as 4 minus 6. So it only works with multiplication and addition. So anyway, 5 times 2 is 10. So this is, if you hit and wound with every single attack dice that you roll, how many wounds are you going to get? So you got to start at the top with that number, and you do it attacks times damage. So 10 wounds, and then this is 5 attacks that do 1, that's 15. 5 attacks that do 3, so that's another 15, so that's 30, plus 3 that do 1 is 33. So his damage potential is 33. So I just want you to appreciate how much damage that is. Let's go to like an average type troop. There may not be any in the destruction catalog here. The goblins are terrible. I don't even know why they're still publishing those models either. I hope they do something with them. Savage Aurochs. So I'm just trying to get to a battle line troop. Well, you know, our boys are average. Excuse me, they're elites. So they have 2 attacks each with a damage of 1. So this guy hits with the Thunderbolt force of the equivalent of, oh, I just realized that was like really focused in. The equivalent of 15 elites or 33 basic guys. And oh my gosh, like that is here. Like if you go through that, you'll see that like a damage potential of 13 is actually really high. But that this guy has 33 plus all his abilities of on the rampage, which I could talk about more. So anyway, and then of course you can get a mathematical formula for based on how the hit and wound work out as percentages, factor in how good the rend is, which takes away from the armor save, and then you can come up with basically a mathematical number of like the damage potential of whatever the unit is. All right, let me go ahead and just go wide again. There we go. All right, that looks good. Okay, so let's keep going. So you definitely, if you're going to do the Ironjaws, you're going to want a Mega Boss on Maw Crusher. Awesome. I might even use this model for it, just as like a regular guy, but because I kind of like his banner thing a little bit better. Okay, so anyway, so the command ability, which they've really captured the spirit of the army, which is the Aurochs tend to bunch together, and they tend to just kind of gather this energy, this speed and hard hittiness from being close to each other. And in fact, a lot of their abilities are proximity based. So Mighty Wog is that you count up the number of Ironjaws within 15 inches, Ironjaws units within 15 inches at the start of the combat phase, that's close combat, of the turn, and roll a dice. If the roll is less than or equal to the number of units, then this model and all models in those units make 1 extra attack with each of their melee weapons in that combat phase. That is absolutely huge. I mean, just the number of attacks that you could possibly be adding from that is amazing. It gets better though. If the roll is a 6 and there are at least 6 Ironjaws units within 15 inches, then it's 2 extra attacks. So, and you can do this every single turn. So the Wog, oh, and I pronounce the G, is not just a one-shot deal. You do it again and again and again and again. So you really want your Mega Boss in the middle and your boys kind of around it. So the other interesting powers on the Rampage, and I want to read it word for word. If the wounds inflicted by a Maw Crush's destructive bulk attack, okay, let's read what that does. After a Maw Crusher completes a charge move, pick an enemy unit within 1 inch and roll the number of dice shown for the Maw Crush's destructive bulk on the damage table above. That goes from 8 dice at full power, and then if he's taken a lot of wounds, it can go down to 4 dice. So on average, it's going to be half of that. So you do 4 wounds at full power with destructive bulk. And then the enemy unit suffers 1 mortal wound. That means no saving throw for each roll of 4 or more. Now what's interesting is because of the on the rampage thing, which is he gets to follow up if he destroys everybody within a certain range, your opponent's not going to take the wounds from the guys that are closest to him because because if he wipes everybody out within a certain radius, within 3 inches, he can do it again. And, okay, so basically, this is like so tactical. You could basically charge up, wipe out a tiny little straggler unit, or a hero, or a wizard, or whatever, and just do these bonus wounds. But if you can wipe them out, then you can charge in from another direction. So, it can immediately make another charge move and make another destructive bulk attack after the move if the charge is successfully carried out. A Maw Crusher can make any number of charge moves like this in a single turn, so long as each one results in all enemy models within 3 inches being slain. I gotta tell you, this is super tactical, and if you're playing against Aurochs, you're gonna need to really watch out for this. Like, you're gonna have to, make sure you're not ill positioned. Okay, so this is a must. You're gonna get one of those guys. An Auroch Mega Boss. In a simple game, I would take one of him. In a more complex game, I would take 2 of them and just convert this up. There's a lot of conversion abilities here. And if you look at that base, that is a 60mm base. This guy is almost as big as a Space Marine Dreadnought. I mean, it is really incredible stuff. Okay, so, but let's take a look at his ability. It's a Wog, so same as the other guy, but it's only within 10 inches. So not quite as good as the Maw Crusher, but of course you'll always have that, and you'll probably make the Maw Crusher your general because he has more survivability. So here it is. Go on, lads, get stuck in. An Auroch Megaboss can use a well-placed kick, blah, 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 blah. You can reroll hit rolls of 1 for friendly units of brutes that are within 5 inches of this model when they make their attacks in the combat phase. So that is this guy, these new sort of like Terminator-sized guys there. So reroll hits of 1. So that's really nice. And it's the unit, friendly units within 5 inches. So he's probably going to affect at least 2 units if he's well placed. And so he can become like a lieutenant that's strengthening the line. And if he kills heroes, he gets bonus attacks permanently. So that's really nice. But look at the stat line. 6 attacks, 2 wounds each. That is incredible damage output. This guy's a 1-man unit. And on top of that, he gets 2 attacks with his Riptooth Fist, which does D3 wounds, so that's 4. So his damage output is huge. And he has a 3-up save, which is really the old equivalent of a 2-up save. So, I mean, he's heavily armored. Okay, Auroch, basically there's not a bad unit in here. All of them are just absolutely outstanding. I love them. I love how they look. I love how they play. They're really, really amazing. And this guy, a typical hero, only has 5 wounds. This guy has 7 wounds. So not too shabby. Their move is a little slow. They're clocking in at 4 inches. The War Chanter, also a must-take. Again, this is a 40mm base. This guy is pretty huge. He's not that great in close combat, but that's not really his thing. Frenzy of Violence. Pick one Ironjaws unit that is within 10 inches of your War Chanter. In your hero phase, you can add 1 to all hit rolls made for that unit in the following combat phase. So I want to like look at these guys. This is like peanut butter and jelly. These guys are hitting on a 3-up. So if he adds 1 to their to-hit roll, they're hitting on a 2-up. And this guy allows them to reroll hit rolls of 1 for brutes. So the synergy here is pretty obvious, guys. So, yeah. That's basically that's basically the War Chanter's thing. The Weird Knob Shaman. Now, this guy is really weird, and here's why. First off, the new model is awesome. I love this whole giant skull thing with the roiling magic smoke coming out of it. Really cool. You saw that in the Ogre Firebelly, and I'm glad that they did something like that again. What's unusual about him is he has 2 offensive magic spells. Green Puke, which is the equivalent, the Age of Sigmar equivalent of a template weapon, like a flamer weapon, but they've gotten rid of templates, which is interesting because I've heard some people thinking of the idea of just bunching your guys together in blocks and moving them around that way, and that actually will give them more destructive ability to be kind of bunched in. And there's no reason not to. There's nothing that's like, oh, you got to spread out because there's going to be incoming artillery. It doesn't exist in the game. There's no templates. Foot of Gorg does a huge amount of damage, but has a casting thing of 10. Overall, this guy's good, but he's independent. He's just basically kind of like a little artillery piece there. But magic's nice. He can disband spells. He only gets 1 spell a turn, though. He gets a bonus to his casting, but it can kill your own guys, and I don't think it's that great. It's one of those things where it's like, oh, it has this fun drawback, but it should really be giving you some huge advantage. But that's how it goes. Now let's look at the brutes. Oh man, the models for these are ridiculously awesome. They come in kits of 5, and that's how you field them, is 5. So, and by the way, I'm going to do a shopping video on these too. 3 wounds each is pretty good. These are the answer to the Stormcast Eternals for these guys. The Eternals might be a little bit stronger, but here it goes. And they have all sorts of different weapon combinations that they can have. In fact, 2, 4, 6 different types of weapons that they can be kitted with. There's no shields, by the way. They can be kitted with 2 hand weapons or 1 giant weapon, basically. And with a damage output of 4 attacks, 1 damage, and then I think, hold on, 2 brute shot, yeah, 4, 1. It's pretty good. Well, it's really good for an elite, actually. Okay, their ability is to grab and bash. When you make attacks for a brute boss, oh no, that's not it. That's only the leader. Oh, here's their ability. Duff up the big thing. You can reroll failed hit rolls for an Auric brute if the target has a wounds characteristic of 4 or more. So that's actually a pretty good ability. All right, let's move on. The Gorg Wrenches these guys are great. You're definitely going to want to get a couple of boxes of these. And to my mind, the Gorg Wrenches, let's go see like a side view on these guys. They are a great example of the evolution of Age of Sigmar. Okay, let's hopefully I can do this right. I can't really see the camera screen. Here we go. Yep, there it is. You can see it just fine. They're really cool. Not a fan of like these serrated knife fangs. In fact, if I get mine, I'm gonna cut those off and put regular like tusks on them. A little over the top. But, you know, to each their own. So the Gorg Wrenches, their ability is Gorg Grunta Charge. Let's see here. When you declare a charge with the unit of Gorg Wrenches, measure the distance to the nearest enemy unit. If it's 8 inches or more and the charge is successful, the Gorg Grunta's Fanged Maw and Hooves attacks deal D3 damage rather than 1. That's basically, on average, double damage. But that they do each get 4 attacks. So, not too bad. Basically, if they make a long charge and get up ahead of steam, they get extra powerful. Now, you may have noticed, this is a lot different than the Savage Orcs book, the Bone Splitters. The Bone Splitters had no new kits. They just repackaged an old product, albeit a really good one, and put it out there. And I love that. Good on you. You breathe new life into something old. But for these guys, you've got basically, what is it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 new kits, and only one old kit, which is the Auric Ard Boys. And what's funny is these are elites in old, style Orc army, but they're the grunts. These are the wannabes of the Ironjaws. And let's see. Icon of Gorg, Auric Forged Shields. Model fleas. Yeah, really nothing to write home about these guys. Just some really good line troops. 2 attacks each is really nice. Slightly elite on their to hit and wound. Okay, now let's look at the War Squirrel Battalions. This is the equivalent of a 40K formation if you're coming over from 40K. I just want to give a quick overview. So you got the Brute Fist, the Gore Fist, the Ard Fist, the Weird Fist, and the Iron Fist. I think those are the... Oh no, and then there's a Brawl. The Brawl is the big one, where it includes like probably 100 models in it. Yeah, 5 battalions is what you need for that. It's going to be clocking in on at least 100 models. So, but the formations... So the most simple one is the Brute Fist. 3 to 5 units of Auric Brutes. So really no reason not to bring this. And it just... They capture the spirit of the Ironjaws with these formations. Basically, you take one guy out of the 15, say you have 5, 5, 5, that would be the minimum, and you pick one guy to be the big boss, and he just has a couple extra wins. So in your hero phase, units from the battalion with 10 inches of the big boss, which you picked, including his own unit, can make a charge move as if it were the charge phase. If the charge is successful, pick one enemy unit that within 3 inches of the unit that charged. It suffers D3 mortal wounds. That is an awesome, awesome power. With multiple charges, you can wipe out weak units, you can weaken strong units, you get this maneuverability with these guys, with these charges in the hero phase, these extra maneuvers. The Gore Fist, this is my favorite one, 3 to 5 units of Gorg Wrenches. And the minimum unit size is 3, so you need 9 Gorg Wrenches for this. And again, they promote a guy. He has 7 wounds rather than 5. But this, I love this. Oh my gosh. So basically, the ability is called Gorg Wrench Formations, but you are supposed to make a new name for it. That you, like Tusks of Gorg or Snorting Snout Spear. And so you tell your opponent you're using this special tactic that these orcs made up. So what you do is when you set up all units 10 inches... Oh yeah, if all these units are within 10 inches of the big boss that you elected for these guys, the formation allows all the units in the battalion to make a move 15 inches in the hero phase of their first turn. The move is made as if it were the movement phase, except the units cannot run. It does not stop the units from moving again normally later in the turn. After the first turn is over, the formation dissolves into anarchy and normal rules apply. Okay, they can charge in the first turn. This is so good. It's so neat, so tactical, creates an immediate problem for your opponent. These guys are huge troublemakers in this formation. In my opinion, great place to start with these guys would be 3 units of Iron Fists and, is that what they're called? Of Brutes, excuse me, not Iron Fists. 3 units of Brutes and 3 units of Gorg Wrenches, and take those 2 formations. Absolutely amazing. So the Ard Fist is basically the Black Orcs and a War Chanter. And it gives them the ability to recycle onto the battlefield. So if they're wiped out, the War Chanter can summon them again. Another amazing, amazing, and very characterful formation for these guys. So the War Chanter, or battalion, I guess. The War Chanter and 3 to 5 units of Ard Boys. See if I'm still going here. Yep, still recording. Oh, I drifted a little. Guys, I'm so sorry. All right, here we go. Okay, I know there's a way to fix that. All right, so that's so we got the weird fist. You know, I'm not going to talk about these guys. This is a mixed battalion, and these guys can basically make an extra D6 move. So very tactical. This might be a good one to play around with. And then, of course, a brawl. Let's see. Combat phase, make 2 extra attacks each of any units that don't receive this bonus, but which are within 10 inches of the brawl. 1 extra attack. Oh my gosh. I think this stacks. Okay, well, anyway. And then, of course, the rules. So, guys, that is the Ironjaws Destruction Battle Tome. These guys, the models are great. They're characterful. They got cool names. They do a cool thing. They play really well. As far as I can tell, I can't find out who's writing these. I hope Matt Ward is writing these, actually. I doubt it, though. It doesn't really smack of his writing. But you know what? You never know. So yeah, it's really, really, really cool. And again, Blue Table Painting is at the ready to paint up your Ironjaws army. You can contact us at projects@bluetablepainting.com. And I would like to thank each and every one of you for continuing to tune in and for both your support of Goodwill and also projects that we can work on. So I hope you have got your information for the day.